Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Fallout Bar after night 7 of the PDC BetMGM Premier League darts from Cardiff tonight. I'm dressed in red. I'm surprised, surprised Carwin isn't, to be honest, but joined as ever by Mr. Carwin Evans. My voice is absolutely knackered, so apologies for that. I have got a bit of a cold. How are we, Carwin? You all right?
Yeah, well, yeah, as in obviously not wearing red as I'm mourning the early exit of a certain Welshman today. But no, very well, thank you.
Not as much as somebody's mourning it. Did you see the bet that went in the OD chat before?
I did see the chat. Yeah, that was incredible. A leg and a missed dart for it and a 170. But yeah, no, I'm good. Another epic night of darts and yeah, just what can you say about certain young darts players at the moment? They're just different gravy.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous how good that was tonight. Plenty of people in the chat room already. Nico, we get this all the time. Yeah, we're not as far as we know.
No, not to my knowledge.
Ian's been very kind to us. Fantastic to see two greats up in the game against each other.
Oh, thanks, Ian.
It means us, doesn't he? It's not anyone else. Loads of others in. Video Smurfs in, Jack's in. Dean's in there as well. Great Showman, Gordon. Loads of people in there. Bob's in there. As is Alistair Jack. All box ups in as well. And Shelty as well as in there as well. It's been a ridiculous night of darts, and let's get straight into it. With probably the worst game of the night, to be honest. We got it out the way early and then allowed things to just perk up a little bit after that. Chris Dobie, I mean, this is where you start to really worry that donut might still be there at the end of this tournament for Stephen Bunting, because we've said all the way through, he's playing well. And he's come up against some good performances. But he's got slapped today with up against someone that's averaged 90 and not played well at all in Chris Dobie.
No, and I actually think Bunting knew how important tonight was. After 2 or 3 weeks, he'd probably seen tonight as the must-win quarter-final and potentially then going to making it through the final. But yeah, what's been his strength recently is his scoring, and then he's been quite clinical on the double 16. Just wasn't there tonight, and the longer the game went on, the more you sort of see his hopes of going any further in the Premier League, disappear. And Dobie's just did what Dobie's done throughout the campaign.
You say him going any further, do you mean him getting up to 7th?
Well, yeah, probably is the end of that hope now as well, because
he's not. I can't see him doing any. I can't even see him doing that at the moment. I'm really starting to worry that he doesn't get a point.
Well, yeah, the longer it goes, the more you sort of start to think that. And in my mind, sort of his two potential wins in this little first block was against Dobie tonight and Price last week, because it would be a type of Price.
Yeah.
Type of game that Price would lose. But he's lost 6-2 in both, I think, and 6-4, against Price. But I know he's sort of grown an army of fans, and his darts has been at a standard where he deserved to be in the Premier League, but he just hasn't turned up. And
no,
it's probably going to be a long 9 Thursdays for him from here on in.
Well, that's it. It's getting to the point now where there are very little positives that you can take out of it for him, and unless something dramatically changes, it's another one of these campaigns where it's probably hindering a player more than helping a player being still in at this point. And
definitely.
That there was still relegation at this point.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And with the caliber of players in this Premier League, it's very hard when you're playing bad to win a game. As we said tonight, Dobie's average 90. Really, if you want to do anything in this Premier League, that's the sort of average you should be lapping up and looking to sort of destroy, because when you come up against the Lukes, MVG, Price, Cross on his day, you're looking at 97, 98 to even think about sort of getting something out of a game, and he's just not there at the moment.
Yeah, he's not at all. And like I say, I don't think we saw anywhere near the best of Chris Dobie tonight either. probably got an excuse. He's probably been celebrating since Sunday, to be honest. I don't think he's even thought about darts in the meantime, but fair enough. Andrew's giving himself a shout out. Did not say that. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't here last week. It was my birthday last week, and
Voice is still recovering since then.
I didn't even watch you guys, I'll be honest, and even if I had, I probably wouldn't remember it. So
I can confirm Andrew did say that, although I think he said 6-1 to Littler.
So
right. didn't get the full house. But
anyone that predicts a 9, you are. We bow down to your greater knowledge.
Better prediction than me, anyway. My prediction fell at the first hurdle, so that's the end of it.
Do you have Gezi winning it by any chance?
Gezi beating Bunting.
Oh, fantastic. Great work. Well done, sir.
Yeah, so jinxed both of them. Sorry, lads.
On to the second game of the night, and this is where the standard really started to ramp up. This was a great watch. I think Luke missed a chance to go 5-2 up, and then obviously Michael came back and he won the last 4 legs on the bounce. Really good from both of them. This was sort of what we've seen from Van Gogh every week in the first round, that he plays really well, he puts the performance in. And he really had to against Luke Humphries, who was just firing from the off, got himself into a lead, but it still wasn't enough. And Van Gogh did enough to get over the line and with a leg to spur as well.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Because we've come to expect now, if Luke Humphries goes up 3-1, 4-2, you pretty much expect him to steamroll the end of the game, and that's that. But I don't know what it is. Obviously, don't take anything away from MVG. He was outstanding, averaged 104, was clinical when he had to be, and to sort of turn that game around. But there were a few things in Luke's games tonight that were uncharacteristic of him. And I don't know if it's pressure or if it's just trying something different, but as sort of Vid just was alluding to in the chat there, that 80 checkout in the last leg, in that situation, was so wrong.
I was going to come back to that, and I sort of get as the world number 1 and the player that he is, that you fancy if you've got 3 darts at a target that you'll hit 2 of them. But in that moment, at 5-4 down, also he would have had the throw in the decider as well. I just think it was fucking stupid, wasn't it? Like, I have no other description for it. It was utter nonsense, just ridiculous to not give yourself a dart at the double. Like, I understand it with 2 darts in hand, but with 3, it's just nonsense. And
it wasn't as if he was struggling on the treble, because he started that leg with a 180. So it wasn't as if he was, I go top because I can't find the treble 20. It was just a moment of madness. And
I just think if you want to do something different on the 80, at least go treble 16 or something. It was. I don't understand it. I think his head was just gone at that point. I think he'd lost 3 legs on the bounce and his head had fallen off.
Yeah, and it might just be that, and that I'm overthinking it. I don't know. It's just with obviously the pressure and the hype and everything around Luke Littler, he's still world number 1, and it must play on his mind that he's not the most talked about darts player in the world, and that he's not getting the pedestal maybe a world number 1 deserves. But it's now about how he sort of just forgets about that and lets his darts do the talking, because he's still the world number 1 for a reason. He just needs to forget about tonight, write it off, and just think, don't do anything silly like that again.
Yeah, I think it was, for me, it must have just been a little bit of a moment of badness, because he was under a bit of pressure at that point. But like you say, he is still world number 1. He's still very comfortably world number 1 as well, which shows how good of a player he is and where he's at. But not his finest moment at the end of that match, which probably takes away a little bit from the fact that he did actually play pretty well in that game as well, which is all the more reason for him not to be rattled at that point.
Yeah, exactly. When you sort of average 101, why do that? But I don't know. As in, it's only Luke can answer that question, and I'm sure he'll come up with a very wise answer because obviously he's very good in front of the media, and
He
he sort
does
of
always speak very well, and I'm
yeah, he
sure
does.
he'll have a reason behind it. But another person that is rattled is Nathan Aspinall. Like,
Nice.
and he's just he cannot beat Luke Littler. It's just my word. And it's getting to the point now where he's thinking so much about it, I feel, that he's just not turning up when he plays him now. Like, this was a beatable Luke Littler in this game, which is ridiculous because he's averaged 102, but that's the level. Like, if he averages 102, that's when you've got to beat him. Like, you're not going to beat him when he averages 115, like, very often. But if he averages 102, you can be in it and you can be in the game. But Ash just never turned up. He played like a man who had spent 4 days before on the piss in Portugal, which is what he had done. It was on a stag do. So his hands were probably shaking a bit. He was probably still a bit rough and maybe he was just struggling. So perhaps we let him off for this one. Perhaps it wasn't quite just that he's Littler's in his head, but it does feel that way now, doesn't it, Carl?
Oh, definitely. And I think that's what the Premier League can do to you as well, is that it can seriously play with your head if you're fully aware of a losing record you've got against somebody, and the possibility is you play them 5, 6, maybe even more times over the course of 16 weeks, depending how both players get on. And I think it is bothering Nathan Aspinall because obviously he was the stable number one and he was the big guy around town. All of a sudden, Luke Littler's come in, giving him the short elbow and said, no, mate, this is my territory now. And obviously it doesn't help that Nathan's game isn't where it can be and where it has been in the past. So that's probably on his mind as well. And yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? We mentioned 102 average and it's like a B game, he's beatable. And it was a bit of a strange one because even though Asp sort of kept in it for the first half of the game, I was never convinced he'd come back and win it. It was always sort of he'll be there or thereabouts, but won't do enough to win. And I think that's what Littler does well, is he knows how to hold an opponent at arm's length and just sort of get over the line. Winning is a habit, and it's certainly an addictive one for Luke Littler at the moment.
Yeah, it is. It felt like every time I got close, he just sort of slammed the door in his face again and had a decent leg where Asp couldn't get near him. I think the one I'm thinking at 4-3 for him to go 5-3 in front, and I think Asp did a 140 or 180 to leave. It's still quite a big checkout, but an opportunity.
Yeah,
and then it just pings the 100 with tops at the end of it, which is the right time to go tops. When you've not hit the treble with the first start and it's not lying right for you, have 2 at the bigger target. Absolutely fine with it. Not when you've got 3 in your hand. But yeah, like I say, it's another just really impressive performance from Luke Littler, and I'm just running out of things to say about it because we're seeing it every week now.
Yeah, that's it now. As in, I think we could almost record this conversation and play it week upon week. Just change Aspinall's name to whoever he plays in the first round, especially the first round.
Yeah, we could say it now next week. Like,
yeah,
Stephen Bunting's played all right, but Luke Littler's just smashed him, and he's beat him 6-1, and he was never really in the game.
Yeah, and Littler played his B game because that's what he gets better as the night progresses. He'll hit a sort of a mediocre 103 average in his first round, and then he'll grow into the game, but into the evening bit. But no, it's just
mediocre 103.
That's what it is.
The final game of the night was another one that was just. It's a strange game again. I'm going to say, like, Ross went into a 3-0 lead without particularly playing that well. And then Desi sort of pegs him back to 3-2, and you think he's just going to go on and rattle through this now. And then he loses the next 2 legs out of nowhere, just falls off a cliff again in terms of his performance, cross-upped it a little bit. And then it went the other way again. He just kept flip-flopping all the way through this one. And then and then that finished. Like, there is a bet flying around on, I assume it's on socials or it's been shared in our group anyway. But someone had the first 3 scores correct and had 6-5 Gezi with a £5 free bet at 2,500 to 1. So about 12.5 grand returns. And Gezi somehow managed to, from 170, not get a dart at double. I don't know.
He missed another double 18.
Yeah, he had one dart at double from 170 and 6 darts. And then Rob Cross takes out 170 to win the match 6-5 and kill the bet. I'm not going there, Bob. I'd absolutely had enough of the Gezi fish and chip references by the end of the game. Like, it just, I'm not going there. But yeah, he took a big fish and beat him. Colin, how did you feel in that moment?
Well, the frustrating thing was,
other than the gift that you put in the chat that just
I won't repeat that. You know what? It's frustrating with Rob Cross because once the first treble went in, I knew the bull was in. It all depended on that second treble 20, and he hit it. And you know what? It was a game where neither player would be delighted to have won it because it wasn't the greatest in terms of averages, and whoever lost it would be fuming. I guess from a Gezi point of view, it's tough to lose like that, but at least it was a 170 he lost to, not missed the dart at double 18 and then Cross ends up winning on a double 1 or something stupid like that. He takes out the biggest finish he can, and hats off to him. When somebody does that, you've got to sort of salute it.
I don't feel like I ever fancied it at any point when Cross was stood over it either. Like, he'd had a chance at the 160 in the leg before, and the first dart was perfect, and then the second one was just nowhere near. And then even when the 2 trebles went, I'd never fancied the bull, I don't think, until it went in.
Yeah, well, and he wasn't in the leg either. He was not in the leg at all. He hit, I think he took 9 darts to get to 361. And then he took out 361 in 9. Or 36.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so he left 265. Then he hit 95 with 2 of the worst second darts at the 19. Then after the perfect first one. And then the 170 went.
Yeah, and I think the problem was you can't in this format go 3-0 down. I know he fought his way back, but the reality is, if you go 3-0 down, your opponent will get chances, and ultimately that's what happened. Yes, it was the biggest chance of them all, but it just keeps this abysmal run that Gezi has in Cardiff. He does not like a crowd that likes him. So maybe next year, if he's in and if they come back to Cardiff,
about how much he loves the crowd, how much they like him, and how much better it is, and he seems more positive. But when they're completely behind him, like they were tonight, it just doesn't seem to quite find his best.
No, Wales just needs to boo him next year. If he's in the Premier League and he's back in Cardiff, just don't give him the love because he'll play better.
They might do, because he's probably lost everyone a few quid tonight, because everyone in that venue that was having a punt will have had the 50 pence on Gezi Price.
Yeah, that's it. But I saw he's on social media 3 minutes after losing, I think, sort of summing up and just keeping quite positive, which is good to see. I think last week's night win will have sort of got his spirits back up and just sort of made him believe again, because it is a tough slog, I think, the Premier League, and when you're not winning, often, it is hard. But Gezi will be back. No pressure next week. He's in Newcastle, so they might give him a hostile welcome, hopefully.
I imagine so, to be honest. It will be all about one man, and that will be Dan Simpson's favourite, Mr. Christopher Dobie.
Of course.
Speaking of Mr. Christopher Dobie, this was shite. Like, rubbish. Proper bobbins. Like, Michael Van Gerwen did what Michael Van Gerwen has done in every single week, pretty much, in the Premier League. I think there's 1 week where he lost week 1, but every other week he's won in the first round and then he's been shite in the second round. And not only was he shite in the second round, he won 6-1 because Chris Dobie was awful. 82 average, and it was a true 82 average as well. There were no peaks and troughs. He was that all the way through. I think he only had a couple of darts at double, might have been 3 in the end. Yeah, this was poor. It was a tough watch, this.
Yeah, more often than not, when we've criticised Dobie's average, it's because he's averaged 20, because he's hit something like 15 to 20% of his doubles.
Yeah.
He hit 1 out of 3 in this game, so it just wasn't, the scoring wasn't there. And when you're not the best on the double and your scoring's not there, you're not going to win many matches. And unfortunately for Dobie, he came up against an abysmal Michael van Gerwen, who slumbered to a 91 average and beat him 6-1. And I don't want to single players out for not being good enough to be in the Premier League, because on their day they are good enough to be in the Premier League. But
it's tough to say anything else right now about
Chris Dobie. It is.
And Stephen Bunting. Like, it's not just Dobie. We're not just having a go at Dobie, and they're both fantastic players, and that they have earned their spot. But they are not playing like they deserve to be in there at the moment. I think that's the better way of putting it. It's not that they don't deserve to be in there, and it's not that they're not good enough to be in there. But they're not playing like they deserve to be in there. They're not playing like they're good enough to be in there.
No, and that's it, isn't it? As in, if you're not playing good enough, you're going to be found out, you're going to be destroyed, and you're going to be questioned. Especially maybe this year when there's been players left out, maybe, who in the past would have been picked for the tournaments they won, but politics, I guess, and who the PDC decided to put in is another matter in itself. But it just, it's tough when you see 2 players falling behind, not only in the table, but only in the averages they're hitting. And I think Dobie's averaged 90 and 82 tonight, and that won't win you many games on the Pro Tour, let alone in the Premier League. So I think it's just a case of keep going, get as many points as you can. Now for Dobie, next week is huge. It's in front of his home crowd. He'll get a sort of a chance to really feel the love from the crowd, and then hopefully it just gives him a sort of that lift to be competitive again, because it's tough. It's I can't imagine how hard it must be traveling all over Europe. Obviously that's lovely, and the money's probably decent for turning up, but it's just when you're not playing your best, it's hard.
Yeah, it is, and it is tough, and it gets harder the more it goes on that you're not playing your best. It then gets harder to turn up and show it, and we're a little bit harsh on people sometimes, but it's because we want to see them at the best. We want to see them playing at the best because we know how good they are, and that's what's frustrating at times. Archibald's just rocked up and discovered the channel, and glad it's here. Welcome. We are here every week after the Premier League. We've got the live lounge on a Monday. We've got Pro Tour streams. We've got everything you could ever want, and all the interviews from all the players at all the big events. So yeah, welcome, and I'm sure we'll see you back again. Speaking of clips and interviews, this is a rare one. We have a clip of Chris Dobie after I assume it was after the semi-final rather than after the quarter-final, but here he is talking to the famous Mr. Phil Bars.
Yeah, it's tough because I feel like I'm playing all right. I haven't played as well as I did a couple of years ago, but I feel my game's it's about to turn in the right direction. I thought obviously tonight was going to be it, but I just hit a brick wall there in that last game. Don't know what happened. I felt great before going out. Just the occasion just didn't happen for us tonight. And like I said, we'll go again this weekend and hopefully put that right. Yeah, I'll never rule anything out. I think the last time I was in it, Johnny Clayton and Peter Wright were the only 2 people below me in the table. And then I think Johnny won two nights off the bounce, and it boosted him right in, and he went on to do that and qualify for the final. So yeah, never rule anything out. I believe I can do it. It's just small, fine margins, and yeah, I really hope then I can knuckle down and put everything behind us and get that first win under my belt, and we'll go from there.
I'm very, very surprised that is what the clip was. One, that he said this game's quite good at the moment, which, to be fair, he's not been playing horrendously outside of tonight, where I thought he was poor. But I was expecting that to either be Newcastle trophy or it's Newcastle next week. I didn't expect him to be talking about tonight's game. It's completely thrown me, that.
Yeah, and he seemed remarkably positive considering what he just chucked against MVG. So
I think he's just still on a high from
yeah, well, hey, as in
Sunday.
I get it.
As is everyone. This is why Dan Simpson isn't here tonight. He's still unable to speak from. No, I don't know. No, but he's got some works going on. He's in his house. But yeah, he's. There is a good chance he's still too pissed to speak, though.
I wouldn't bet against that, obviously, because it was such a huge day for the club, and you hope for Dobie that he does put it right this weekend, so that next week he hits Newcastle, crowds buzzing, he's buzzing, and he puts on a good performance when he comes up against the world number one.
Yeah, if they haven't got the Newcastle flags again and the trophy on stage next week, they've made a monumental fuck up there, the PDC, haven't they?
Oh yes, yeah, it's definitely the time to roll it out.
Yeah, second semi-final, Rob Cross against Luke Littler, and like I say, this is just where he started to ramp it up from the very pedestrian 102 average in round one. He then rocked up an average nearly 108, 6 more 180s. Spoiler before we get to the final, he hit 22 180s tonight. Stephen Bunting has hit 22 180s on the season so far.
Yeah,
Littler's now on 82 180s for the year. For the Premier League. The next closest to him is Luke Humphries on 44.
Almost 12 a night. Incredible.
He's only 46 180s away from his record that he set last year. We haven't even hit halfway yet. We're 7 nights in.
He'll destroy that, because let's be honest,
he might hit 200. He genuinely might hit 200. The way he's
making finals night as well, isn't he? So
yeah, it's just he plays a different sport to the one that I've grown up with.
Yeah, well, I think he plays a different sport to every other dance player on the planet. And
this was just class from him, though, wasn't it? Like, he never let Cross get into the game. Like I say, there was 6 180s in this. He had a couple of ton plus outs as well. The 109 on his supposedly not favourite side of the board on double 16 was lovely. The 120 to win it as well just never looked in doubt, even though he had to stop because he thought he'd hit tops with his second dart. It was just really good. Like, as soon as he got 3-0 up, you never fancied, even when it got back to 3-2, that you just didn't think it was ever going to be anything else.
No, that's it. And what Littler does well is every time Cross got down to a 1 or 2 dart finish himself, he'd finish the leg. Yeah. He would not let him.
He does that to you all the time, and that's the thing. It must be so frustrating as another player that, like, every time you get down to a finish, it's usually a big 3-figure finish, or like maybe just under the 3 figures. And sometimes you get a poke at it, but very rarely. And the rest of the time, he just finishes it before you even get a shot at it. But then if you do get a shot at it, like, you're having to take out 150, 143, like those sorts of finishes that you don't take very often. Like, even the best don't take them very often.
No, that's isn't it.
It's so frustrating that standing over that finish that, yes, I'm capable of hitting this, but if I don't hit this, I'm not getting another shot in this leg. I can't lay this up and leave myself a double.
Oh, no, with Littler, he could hit any finish going on a whim, throw nothing in the leg and take out the 170. And what he did tonight was both his turn plus finishes came with Cross sitting on 95 and 32. And whilst Cross probably knows in the back of his head he's not coming back, you've got that glimmer of hope. Those two 10 pluses don't go, and there's potentially a 4-all game, best of 3 legs. But what he does is he just smashes out the park and just does not let you in. And yeah, it's very much we're all living in a Luke Littler world. It's just
There are no more words to describe how good he is at darts.
no.
He's literally completed it already. Like
at 18, yeah, it's scary.
The only problem for him, and like I feel like I see that every time someone asks him whether he can break Taylor's record or something, they asked him that on Sky tonight. Like, and I think it's a stupid question, and you shouldn't even be asking him. But he always says the same thing, that if I want to stay around long enough, then I might do. Like, there must come a point where that motivation's going to fall a little bit because he's done everything. He's already the best player in the world by a mile.
Yeah, ever.
And for a few years, that'll still be fun. But to do it over that length of time, he's going to want to do other things, probably. Like, because he's literally, what else can I do at this point? Like, and 16 is that far away that it's hard to keep yourself motivated for that long. And that is probably the biggest sort of credit you can give to Taylor as well, the fact that that never wavered with him.
The scary thing is, Luke Littler could break Taylor's record before he reaches my age now. And
well, I was just going to say that I turned 35 last Thursday.
He could retire by the time he turns 35 if he wants to.
With 16 world titles.
With 16 world titles and quite a hefty interest bank account going.
He'll certainly have earned more money than Taylor did anyway, put it that way.
Yeah, that's the worry, I guess, is when does he get bored? Because unless somebody, be it one of the current pros or somebody coming through, can chuck 110, 112 average for fun, it will become very one-sided very quickly. And
someone's got to, everyone's got to find another level and everyone's got to push him, and that's basically it. But Chelsea is right. That's why we have to enjoy him while we've got him, because we don't know how long he's going to be.
No,
he might decide to fuck it off in a couple of years' time. He won't do. I wouldn't have thought. Like, he seems to love it and really enjoy it up there, but he could just decide to go and do something else. So while he is here, we do 100% have to just enjoy it because it's magical, and it just brings me perfectly on to the final, which, my word, was magical. 10 180s in 10 legs of darts. That's ridiculous to start off with.
Yeah.
112.5 average. Ridiculous. Oh, and just throwing a 9-darter as well, just for good measure. Because he finally, on television, went the way that he should go, which is the 51-30 route.
Yes, we've been crying out for this for a long time, and he finally listened. He probably watches, and he thought, I listened to the boys tonight. I'll go the way I should go. And
yeah, I feel like we definitely deserve some credit for this, at least. I have just seen in the online darts group chat a screenshot of Owen Binks actually asked Littler today, saying, I'm spotting again tonight. Are you going treble 17, double 15 on 81, just so I know? And Littler replied saying, my 9-darter in Leicester was 60, 51, 30, so take a hint. And then went and did it again.
Of course he did, yeah. And he's sort of the relief for that sort of outpour of celebration, I think, said a lot, didn't it? I know he
almost got cut short at that. I don't know if it's just because I got excited and went messaging in the group straight away, but like, I felt like MVG just rocked straight up and started the next leg, and we didn't get to see enough of the celebration almost.
No, I think there was a little fist bump, but MVG sort of gave like a nod of approval to it, but it's just Littler, what can we say? As in, he just does things for fun, and yeah, it's just
I think
amazing.
that's the thing. Like, he makes it for, like, yeah, there's odd moments where he gets frustrated or he threw one of the 180s against Cross was like the angriest, like, third dart you've ever seen, but it still went exactly where he wanted it to do. Like, but for the most part, like, we saw it when he scored the 11 and we saw it with the rest. He looks like he's just enjoying himself. Like, he looks like he's having fun up there.
Oh yeah, and that's exactly it. And what you saw from Michael tonight was him not sort of rolling over, but thinking, "Oh, actually, I'm up for this. Let's have a dance on stage."
He played bloody
Liv.
well, didn't he?
Yeah, let's see how far I have to push you or how far you can push me. And when it came back to 4-all, and Michael's got 64 with 3 darts in his hand, he's thinking, "Oh,
no, I think that was the moment, wasn't it?
yeah,
And
that was."
I think I felt like he rushed it a little bit. I think it felt like in my head, I thought he needs 2 darts at this double. Like, he needed to hit the treble. If he'd hit the treble, I feel like it might have gone. But as soon as he didn't, then the second dart was in there straight away, and he'd already let go of the double almost before it had hit the side. Sean, no, it's not champagne, unfortunately. I tell you what, I like to enjoy myself, but not on a Thursday night. It's a lovely bottle of sparkling New Zealand Sauvignon from Oyster Bay, which was a birthday present last week, so I cracked it open tonight.
Nice, good choice. But yeah, back to sort of what were we saying? I've had a blank. MVG, that double 16. Yeah, I know what you mean. He sort of, once that went, you knew the 25 was going because he hits doubles 10 in his sleep with a.
That's it, isn't it? And it was such a massive moment at that point in the game. Like, if that goes, it potentially changes everything, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it pressures all on Luke then to hold and get that break, but he steamrolls him in that last leg because MVG himself knows I fluffed this, and that's probably it. But the one thing I will say, it's nice to see MVG up for the fight against Luke. It feels sort of the last few times they've played, he's just he's sort of not really been in it, and Little has made it look very easy. So it's good to see.
Yeah, I think since night one,
Yeah.
Like, night one was when Littler averaged something silly then, wasn't it? Was that like the second highest losing average of all time?
Something
in the Premier League.
Stupid, wasn't it? Yeah, 113.91, and he loses 6-5.
Yeah, and MVG beat him. Like, it since then though, it has been like, and this is the thing, like, you beat him with one of those ridiculous performances, and then you come back to it, and he just slaps you for the next 3 weeks and goes, "You won't do that again."
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing how he just turns it on and finds that extra gear when he needs to, and leaves players of MVG's caliber in the dust, really. And yeah, it's scary how he just finds it when he needs to.
He's just like, I almost want to get the game's gone meme out, because, like,
yeah,
averaging 101 and 50% on your doubles these days is just, it's not good enough to win games.
That makes you competitive against his B game.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it's just not enough to win your games anymore. Like, and it's just a little bit stupid at times, isn't it? How good they bloody are.
But it keeps the pattern going of Littler, Humphreys, Price, Littler, Humphreys, Price, Littler. So when it comes to predictions, I know who I'm predicting to win next week.
Not only that, you're excited for the week after.
Oh, but yeah, it's all about week 9 now. Week 8 can just pass on by.
Week 9, is that week 9 Berlin?
I think it may be, so...
I like how they, I think they called on commentary at some point tonight that Littler would hit the century mark of 180s in Berlin in 2 weeks' time.
That's brave.
He's
of him
only
to say
18
that.
off now. I think he hits it next week.
It's close. If he makes a final, he'll be
He'll
close next
definitely hit it
week.
next week if he makes a final.
Yeah,
He might hit it if he wins a, like, even if he doesn't win the semi-final, he might still hit it at that point.
true.
We have got a clip from him as well, because the famous Mr. Phil Bars is the hardest working man in darts, and
On fire.
he's very kind to us. He's already managed to get it clipped up and dropped in the back end for us. So you'll be able to see this in full on the channel, of course, along with the Chris Dolby one. As ever, they will all be up there. Don't go and watch them yet because you've still got time to get your predictions in after this. That is when you get a chance to get involved. So Archibald, new bloke. If you haven't clicked subscribe already, make sure you do. Otherwise, you can't get involved in the predictions. But here is Luke Littler speaking to the famous Mr. Phil Bars.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the record points or nightly wins is, but I'm sure I'll get told, or I'll look it up myself to obviously try and beat them records and break records for myself. Yeah, obviously looking at it, Michael, he's not been playing his best. He's been up and down, but obviously when he plays against me, he just throws the kitchen sink at me. But I know for myself from the first 3 darts of the match that I've got to be switched on.
I love that. Firstly, that either someone will tell me the record or I'll look it up myself because I want to beat it, which I like that. This is where it worries me about him giving up at some point, because while there's still records to beat, he's well up for beating all the records.
Yeah.
But
hopefully he still goes with 1 or 2 of the records.
That's it. Just keep him around for a while.
Yeah.
There'll be some obscure one. We'll just have to keep every time Phil speaks to him, we'll just have to give him another obscure record to tell him that he just has to keep going after.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's sort of the fact that he's already thinking that is great. And then the fact that he went, yeah, every time Michael plays me, he just throws the kitchen sink at me, but I still beat him.
Yeah. I know I've got to be on it. Well, you've been pretty much on it every time you've played him.
Yeah. So before we get on to predictions, the table as it stands right now, Stephen Bunting still has no points at the bottom. Chris Dolby is still 7th with 5 points, picked up 2 more tonight. It's the first points he's picked up since night 1, but still remains in 7th place. Nathan Aspinall drops down to 6th, courtesy of other results after losing to Littler in the first round. He's got 8 points. Rob Cross now up into that battle for 4th spot. He's still 5th on 10 points, but he's only 2 points off Gerwyn Price, who sits in that 4th place spot at the moment. Yeah, you look at those bottom 4, none of them with a night win, but Gerwyn Price, 2 night wins. He just needs to do it a bit more consistently, doesn't he, if he's going to end up in those spots. He's only 1 point off 3rd, though, and Michael van Gerwen with 13 points, again, without a night win, which 7 nights in, you wouldn't have put much money on him not having a night win at this stage. But the main reason he hasn't is the top 2. Luke Humphries, without even picking up a point tonight, stays in 2nd on 15 points. And top of the table now, there is a big gap already. 21 points for Luke Littler. 3 night wins. It's very difficult to predict anything other than him going on and finishing top of the table at this point. And he did mention on Sky afterwards that he does fancy finishing top now. He said he didn't care about it earlier in the season. Now that he's there and open up a gap, he wants it.
Yeah, it's scary though, isn't it? After 7 nights, he's guaranteed a place in the playoffs. Not mathematically, it's not there yet, but did you say Cross is in 5th?
Yeah, Cross in 5th on 10, and then Gezi in 4th on 12.
Yeah, so Cross needs to win 6 first-round matches just to be a point ahead of him.
That's considering that Littler goes and
loses 6 as well. So
if that happens, I'm retiring. I'm done. I'm not.
If that happens, Luke Littler leaves darts for another reason.
If that happens, me and you will do this show together from a bar somewhere where no one can hear what we're saying, and we'll just drink.
Yeah, because there's more chance of Littler winning 6 nights than losing 6 games. 6 first-round games, I should say.
Yeah, 100%. So we go on to next week, and it is predictions time. So get those fingers ready in the chat room. We start off, and it is night 8, so it is all on the table for who you play, which Stephen Bunting on 0 points means that you have to rock up and play Luke Littler first on in Newcastle. I've got a feeling that Stephen Bunting will be back in Liverpool before the night is done.
Yeah.
But it's you first, as always. No, it's not. I'll go first, actually, because your boy's on second.
Thank you.
I already said this earlier when we were joking about the fact we could clip up what happens to Bunting or what happens to the Littler players. Yeah, Littler wins 6-1. He averages about 103, and he's just better than Bunting is. Bunting plays slightly better than he did this week, but it's nowhere near enough to get near him.
Yeah, I think opening night, Littler, as he's done, chucks a B game in, 102 average. But I think Bunting...
It's just stupid every time.
It sounds disgusting.
Pedestrian 102, we call it.
Sounds disgusting, doesn't it? But Bunting will be much better than tonight. I actually expect Bunting to lose something like a 97 average next week. But he'll still lose 6-2. And it'll be as one-sided as I'm sure the chat room is at the moment.
Yeah. Joel says, get the idea of having this format on the final night. What's the logic in having it halfway through? I don't know. I think the first time we started with this format, someone forgot to do night 8 fixtures, maybe. And
is it to potentially keep 3 to 6 interesting?
Possibly. I think you might be right, but it also could go the other way that.
Well, yeah.
You open up a bigger gap.
Yeah,
I think maybe that, but yeah, like you say, halfway through, it doesn't really make much of a difference, does it?
No.
If you had like relegation coming up at this point, it might make a bit more sense, but couldn't tell you why. In the chat room, has anyone gone for Stephen Bunting? Does anyone want to be the Cam McFarlane predicting Johnny Clayton to be? I'm going to get it in every week.
This will be crazier than that.
Gordon 6-1. Andrew's got it 6-1. Littler, he's not predicted a 9 this time, so we're not getting one in the first round. Bob's got it 6-3, relatively close. Videosmith 6-1 as well. Maximus 6-3, as is James. I thought we might have at least one of these in there. There's a 6-0 for Littler for Alistair, and would you be surprised at this point? Cookie Monster's got it 6-2, as is Greater Showman, and Mike's got it 6-1. But Bunting needs to relax on his walk and he might have a chance of winning. Someone else mentioned that earlier in the chat as well, that you think that the walk-on's not helping him. I don't really know what else you can do. The crowd are going to do it, whatever, unless he just goes back to like the bird is the word. But that was even more upbeat than Titanium. So
yeah, I think to be honest with you, I think he just needs to play the next 9 weeks, take his money, go home, and not think about the Premier League because
and it's not to be in it next year.
Yeah, because as good a players as Bunting have fallen foul of this format, and it's a roller coaster.
It's brutal, isn't it? Let's be honest.
It is. It is. It's world champions.
If you're struggling and you're not playing your best, it is a brutal place to be. Traveling all over the place every week, alongside the rest of everything they do. Like, there's a Euro Tour tomorrow. There's been 2 Pro Tours in the week as well, which were also in
Germany.
Were they Germany or Holland?
Was it? I thought it was
definitely abroad, weren't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot to go that goes into it, and it is really, really tough when it gets into it. But yeah, just try and find some positives. Like, just at least if you can get some points on the board, like if you finish with none, that's going to be a killer. Like, so we're into the second game of the night, and we have Gerwin Price up against Rob Cross for the second week in a row in the quarterfinals. Colin, your chance first this time. Which way do you think this one goes?
Well, to sort of
And why does Going Price win by that many?
Yeah, to start with, I'd like to make a plea to everybody in the northeast who's going to the night.
Just boo him.
Boo Gerwin Price. No, please don't boo him. Don't boo any players. It's not acceptable. But
Booing's all right. Just don't fucking whistle.
Yeah. Just G him up a bit. G him up. Don't be too nice to him. Don't be too nice to him, and he'll be
Somewhere
fine.
in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah. Price wins. I think. He gets revenge undoubtedly. Cross obviously is in the game because he's a bit of a terrier like that. But Price wins 6-4.
So 6-4 to Gezi for you. I think Gezi wins this as well. I was surprised he didn't win tonight. I really fancied him to win tonight. And nothing to do with the fact that he was in Cardiff. I just thought that he's playing better than Rob Cross is at the moment. And I thought he would come out and put on a show, but it didn't quite work out this week. But I think he wins next week. I think he wins 6-3. I think it's a little bit wider than you've got it. All Box Up's got Cross winning 6-4, as has Andrew as well. Video Smurf's got 6-5 Price, which whoever had that bet tonight would be fuming about. James has got 6-5 Price as well. Cross 6-5 for Gordon. Gezi 6-4 for Bob. Alistair's got it 6-3 for Price. Price 6-1 for Coco Damon. Did I say that right? I don't know. Maybe. Greatest Showman's got it Gezi 6-4. Joel's got it Price 6-5. And Cookie Monster 6-3 for Price. Pretty open in the chat room, though. People going more ways. I think just leaning to Price in the end there. But yeah, pretty cool. I think it's one of those games, isn't it? It is a close game. It's one that could go either way. One that can't go either way. I'm just not having it. I don't care that it's in Newcastle. I do not believe that Chris Dolby can beat Luke Humphries right now in the Premier League. I just don't see it happening. And I think this is one where, again, I think it probably works against Dolby a little bit, the way that it is. Like we've seen throughout this campaign, that when he's good on a double is when he's got time and there's no pressure on. And I think with it being in Newcastle, that the pressure is going to be on even when he's got time on a double, because he wants to put on a show and he wants to play well. And I think a calm, relaxed Chris Dolby is the best Chris Dolby there is. And the whole atmosphere, the walk on, everything that the event will be does not play to that. And I think that Humphries wins this one 6-3.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, isn't it? And you've also got to check in the fact that if Dolby loses next week, he will fall further behind the pack because of the fact that Cross and Price are playing each other.
Yeah.
So
that gap to fourth is it's at least going to maintain, because even if he wins, that gap's going to maintain. And if he gets beat, it goes further.
It's potentially 7 points or 9, depending on who wins that game. So the pressure is all on Dolby. But I say this, but then based on what I saw tonight, I probably shouldn't say this. If you can't get up for your home crowd, it's a tough one. But I just worry, based on that MVG game tonight, that Dolby fell off a cliff and
he said it himself, didn't he? He hit a brick wall in that second game.
Yeah, but
that's a worry, isn't it?
It is a worry in week 7 semi-final to hit a wall,
especially somewhere like it was loud in there tonight. It was, but it was a good loud. The atmosphere was good. There was no real issue other than, not to drop him in it, but I'm pretty sure Nathan Aspinall gave him the V's at some point in his game against Littler. But
but I do think Humphries. I think Humphries controls the game and wins 6-3.
It's all very agreeable, this from us, which bodes badly for the people that we've picked.
Yeah.
I think will be the same on this though. Maximus has got it Humphries 6-2, as is Video Smurf. Bob's with me at 6-3. Gordon as well at 6-3. Oh, Dolby. I'm assuming that's Dolby from Andrew there, 6-4. So he's not. He might be the only one as well, I think. Humphries 6-4 for all boxed up. Alistair's got it 6-2, as has Kokoramon. Humphries 6-5 for Cookie Monster. Or what's up with us? He can hit doubles when he has no pressure. When there's pressure, he can't hit a barn door. And he's not the only person to suffer with that. Me and you both with that as well, to be honest. Like, pressure does funny things to people, as we know. And then final quarterfinal of the night. And they've made a mess of this tonight because we can't even go. I've tried to go in order so that you were first for yours and then I was first for mine, but it doesn't work. So
Leave the PDC.
Go first anyway. We'll let you go first on this one while I try and figure out a reason why Nathan Aspinall might win this game when I don't believe that he will. So go on, Carwyn Evans. Who wins this one? Nathan Aspinall against Michael Van Gogh.
All right, you know what? I'm with you in trying to find a way that Aspinall wins the game because I want an upset, and this is probably the biggest chance we've got.
I think the only chance you've got of an upset here, bearing in mind how Van Gogh's played in the first game to the second game throughout the tournament, is me being upset on the show next week.
I think Aspinall plays well. I think he pushes him, but MVG has a bit too much for him. And I think MVG does to Aspinall what Littler did to MVG tonight. Not in averages, just in the way the game went. And I think MVG wins 6-4.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm with you. We have got a few pitching for Asp in the old chat. Maximus has gone for 6-5 Asp. As we know, if you're predicting Asp, it's generally smart to predict 6-5. They've moved as I was trying to do that. Bob's gone 6-5 as well. Ooh. Andrew's my new favourite person in the chat room. 6-3 with a 170. And what you always must do anytime that Nathan Aspinall leaves a 170, you must mention that he won his UK Open on a 170. It's the rule of all commentators that they must do it every time that it happened. It's like the old Top Gear joke that you always used to have to mention that Princess Anne had a Morris Marino or whatever it was. It's that same thing. Like, as soon as he leaves it, every single time, even if he leaves it 3 times in a match, you must mention it every time. Mark Webster is the best one at it. It literally mentions it every single time. Yeah, what am I going to do? Am I going to do it?
Go on, sir.
Go on, then.
Yeah.
Oh, go on, then. We might as well. There's a good little Eddie Hearn in there as well. Yeah, 6-5 Asp, but I'm not going to go anything silly. Like, it's going to be 6-5 if he's going to win it.
Definitely.
Who else have we got in the chat room? Gordon's gone 6-4 for MVG. He's wrong. Video Smurf wrong. 6-3 for MVG. Alistair's 6. He's wrong as well. 6-4 MVG. Cookie Monster couldn't be any more wrong. That's ridiculous. 6. What are you talking about? Yeah, on an absolute chance to get blocked there for that one. Cordomon's gone 6-4. He's also wrong. Great Showman's wrong. 6-4 MVG. There's a lot of people wrong in here tonight, including you, Mr. Carwyn Evans.
I hope I am.
All Box Talk's got MVG 6-3. He's wrong as well. And Joel's got it 6-3. He's also wrong. Anyone else? Anyone else want to be wrong? No, we're all right. So, from the quarterfinalists, as ever, who are your finalists and who wins the night? All on you, first of all,
Carwyn. I'm confident.
A little bit of time while you remember who you picked.
That the pattern will continue. So Luke Humphries defeats Luke Littler 6-5 in the final.
I mean, I'm all for it. You know that 6-5 is a good 6-5 as well. It's like it's a back and forth battle of just ridiculous number of 180s. And if that is the final, he 100% goes through 100 180s.
Yeah.
It's halfway through the campaign. So we've got Littler, Cross, Humphries, Aspinall. No, not Cross. Price, wasn't it? Yeah. Littler, Price, Humphries, Aspinall. Right, okay. So I'm throwing all sorts of chaos into the mix because chaos is fun. Going Price ruins the pattern by beating Nathan Aspinall in the final.
That would be a quality night.
And he beats him 6-1, which you won't hear me say that about a game against Aspinall very often, but I think we see Gezi like 110 average in the final.
Yes, please.
What have we got in the chat? Gordon's got Littler beating Humphries 6-4. There we go. Hang on a minute. Beats the I'm happy with the Asp being in the final. Back to back. Sorry. Is that back-to-back 9 darters in that game, or is that back-to-back finals with 9 darters? If it's in that game, that's the best prediction I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Humphries 6-4 over Littler for Maximus. He's in there with you, not far off on the score. Littler 6-4. Littler 6-4. Brett Shaw's not told us who against. I shouldn't have put that up. 6-3 over Humphries. Gezi beating Humphries 6-4 for Bob. You'll be very happy with that, Carwin, if that happens.
100%.
Littler. Oh, come on, Video Smith. Less of that. You caught me out there. Thought you'd given a prediction.
Clever.
You know much better than that. Do they get... I forgot about the gold set of darts tonight.
Oh, yeah.
If they get 2 in the night, do they get 2? That's a good question. I assume so. I assume you get one for everyone. I want to see someone play with them on like week 16 when they've already qualified.
Well, Luke Littler can play with them from week 10.
Or like if it's Cross on the outside where he can't qualify on the last night, he can play with them. I want a pint of what Joel's on. Oh, I missed that completely. Bunting beats Dolby in the final. I don't even think he predicted for them to get through the quarterfinals, which is...
But I want to see it now. I want to see it.
I also want a pint of what he's on. Bunting beats MVG 6-5. It's got ridiculous here on it. Both lose in the final. Littler 6-4. Fair enough. I did miss his first message, so apologies. He had put that in a separate one. Luke's going to use them when he gets... There we go, Anthony. Well, thank you for letting us know. As soon as he gets them. Is he actually going to use them on telly or just at home? See a pair of gold now. You've struggled if you've only got 2. Like, I mean, Littler could probably still win.
Littler would probably still win, yeah. 120 average.
Yeah. It could happen. You never know.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's descended into chaos at the end of this show.
It's Fallout Bar for a reason.
Yeah. But thank you very much, everyone, for being part of it. It's been a minute in the chat room today. This is probably one of the busiest on predictions and everyone getting involved that we've had for a while. And it is what makes this show. Like, if it was just me and you talking to each other, no one would care about it. So thank you, everyone, for getting involved. That is us done after week 7. And I assume it will be me and you and maybe Dan Simpson if they finish renovating the west wing of the mansion next week. Then he might even be back with us as well. But yeah, that will be after. Actually, to be fair, he might be there next week with it being Newcastle.
Potentially, yeah.
But yeah, either way, we will see you all again next week. I will certainly be here anyway, and I'm sure Carwin will be as well. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and we will see you all next week.